1931 under the British. Since then, the government did conduct a caste or a socio-economic survey in 2011, the findings of which were never made public. However, all government policies, not all, quite a bit of government policies, reservations, or even, ticket distribution when it comes down to elections are usually done on the basis of the caste metric. So is the government actually referring to figures which are 90-year-old, and is there a need of a new caste census? What about the ultimate aim of Ambedkar, which was to have a casteless India and reservations, everything done on the metrics of merit or for the economically weaker sections? And why is it that the opposition, especially it was a cry made by the Bihar parties, then rallied now by the Congress, have come together and asking the government for a caste census? And why is it that the Modi government is not keen on conducting a caste census? Will it expose fault lines in the caste metrics of the country which are not favorable to the BJP? And is this the reason why the Congress and other opposition parties want to make it the fulcrum, caste census, caste politics, the fulcrum of 2024 narrative? Here's more. Will Kiski Kitni Abadi be the clarion call for the Congress and the opposition building up to the general elections 2024? The Congress, the JDU, the RJD coming together as one, and also now raising the same contentious caste census demand. Despite the government's refusal in Parliament to hold a caste census, the Congress has now joined forces with the Bihar opposition parties, the JDU and the RJD, demanding that the government conduct a caste census. A day after Rahul Gandhi raised the question, Kiski Kitni Abadi, demanding to know the strength of the OBC community in the country, the Congress president Mallikarjun Kharge took the debate a step forward by writing to the Prime Minister asking his government to conduct a caste census.
दोनों हाउस में विधानसभा विधान परिषद दोनों जगह से पारित करते थे हम लोग कि होना चाहिए, सर्वसम्मति से होता था, तो हम लोग तो उसके पक्ष में नहीं जी। तो उसके बाद जब वहाँ से हो गया कि ठीक है हम लोग तो नहीं करेंगे, आप लोगों को करना है करिए, तो उसी के आधार पर ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग करके न किए हैं, और वही मीटिंग करके जो तय हुआ है और उसी के आधार पर अभी चल रहा है.
While a resolution has already been passed in both houses of the legislature in Bihar that there be a caste census, the Congress is planning to make Narendra Modi's government's reluctance in conducting the census the rallying point of its campaign for the 2024 general elections. It is seen as a counter to BJP's own successfully tested election strategy of unifying the splintered backward community under the larger Hindutva umbrella. The last time a caste census was conducted in India was under the British in 1931. In 2011, under the socio-economic census, caste calculations were done but never made public. However, in India, most government policies and reservations are done on the basis of the caste metric. So in effect, the government is operating blind, basing all reservations and policies on figures that are 90-year-old. The demand for a caste census has now blown up politically with the backdrop of the 2024 elections, as well with a clear eye on the OBC vote, which has gravitated over the years towards the BJP, with many opposition parties of the opinion that the government is refusing to conduct a caste census as it will reveal caste fault lines which will be unfavorable to the BJP. Till now, the dream of Ambedkar of a casteless society has only but remained a dream and a mirage. The hard reality is that caste continues to play a huge role in governance and social equity, and for that, will it be better to have numbers or continue to operate blind? Bureau Report, India Today. All right, let's cut across to our panelists this evening. Lots of questions that are being raised. Is the opposition now going to come together, especially when it comes down to the caste census, make it a rallying point going ahead for elections 2024? And why is it that the government is dithering from holding a caste census? With the caste census, if it takes place at all, will it reveal fault lines in India's caste metric system, which could possibly be unfavorable to the BJP? Is the BJP somewhere down the line in a catch-22 situation here? Let's take it to our panelists this evening. Joining me is Manoj Jha, Rajya Sabha MP, Rahul Srivastav, National Affairs Editor, India Today TV, Sanjay Kumar, Co-Director, Lok Niti, CSTS, and Sophologist. Cutting across to Manoj Jha first. Manoj Jha, not as a politician, not as a Rajya Sabha member representing your political party, I want to ask you, as an academic, as a professor, what about merit? I'm sure a lot of students ask you. In this day and age where ultimately Baba Saheb Ambedkar had envisioned a casteless India, we are once again looking for a caste census which will be pro-reservation again.
You know, your question has 3-4 questions, and almost all the questions have a different trajectory altogether. But as somebody who understands sociology, who teaches social work in Delhi University, I can tell you, for any government initiative, for any governance structure, for any bureaucratic endeavor to reach to the catchment area, you need scientific data. Why do we need scientific data? 1931 was the last caste census held. Subsequently, Pakistan and Bangladesh, which were part of till 1931, they are different entities now. So the data which BP Mandal Commission collected and collated subsequently, it reached 52% of the population of OBC. It could be more, because that was a calculation broadly drawn from 1931. Having said that, then the reservation was reduced only to 27% because the ceiling was, according to Indira Sahni judgment and a couple of more judgment, on 50%. Now with EWS reservation, Honorable Supreme Court has said 50% is no more sacrosanct. So in order to look at the broader contours of deepening of democracy, it is in the fitness of things that you ensure representation. That's why the demand is not only from Bihar. Bihar is already ahead with caste survey. It's in almost every state. People are demanding, because the overall representation of marginalized community is 7 to 10%.
But Mr. Jha, India's political social history stands testimony to the fact that reservation on the basis of caste hasn't quite entirely helped the upliftment of any particular caste. It's only but created a creamy layer within that particular caste. And you would admit that.
You know something, I must tell you historically, already amongst OBC there is a creamy layer. Now, the government of India appointed Rohini Commission to look at the sub-categorization of OBC communities. Interestingly, the commission has been given more than 23 extensions. The problem is that sub-categorization shall only be scientific, shall only be feasible and doable once you have the data. You are actually looking for a scheme of division of things of an apple by Rohini Commission without knowing the size of the apple, what all constitute in that apple. So first you need to have that data, then issues of categorization, sub-categorization come. I mean, the government is completely confused because this government actually has no blueprint with regard to social justice, and I'm saying this on record. Because if you look at the answers they give in the parliament, the answers are in themselves. They tell you that the wisdom index of this government on these issues is practically zero.
But Mr. Jha, you talk about social justice. Many would say in this day and age, the true social justice is if you give reservation on the basis of economic disparity, where you give reservation on the basis of EWS, economically weaker sections. So hold a census on EWS was what many would suggest. Many who are Brahmins, the proverbial upper caste, are very poor. Many would suggest that in this day and age, poverty has no caste.
I tell you, I wish, I'm sorry to say, I wish I was in a class where I could have taken, I have been talking about these things. I'll tell you, there is established fact that I agree. There are instances of poverty even in so-called upper caste, but their poverty does not derive from their caste background. Whereas the poverty amongst marginalized communities, whether it is SC, ST, and OBC, they have a direct relation, just what we call correlation with the caste background. Otherwise, how it happens that in the caste ladder, which is based on hierarchy and pollution and purity, higher you go, lesser instance of poverty you find. Lower you go, you find poverty in abundance. So this is very clear sociologically, anthropologically. The only thing is that many people think that poverty knows no caste. So sorry, ma'am. Poverty knows caste. It has maximum address, maximum concentration amongst the subaltern communities, which constitute OBC, SC, and ST.
Manoj Jha, many would also suggest, away from all the addresses that you're talking about, it's a political question that you want to address and milk, and that is an eye on the OBC votes which have gravitated towards the BJP. You want to put the Bharatiya Janata Party in a catch-22 situation where somewhere down the line you want to invoke the OBC community asking for a larger chunk, because there should ideally be a larger chunk in terms if there is a caste census, which would somewhere down the line either eliminate or alienate rather the OBC community if the government doesn't hold a caste census, and if it does hold a caste census, then alienate the upper class, which are anyway with the BJP political psephology would suggest.
I'll tell you very frankly, the day I spoke, my leaders spoke, believe me, I'm saying it on record. This is not a political issue. Any issue which involves psychological, social, and political empowerment of marginalized communities, any issue which involves the broadest possible idea around deepening of democracy, it is not political. Otherwise, however, I must say that the choice of toothpaste or a shampoo is also a political issue. That who is dominating the market? We have had enough in terms of a gentleman who has been dominating several core sectors, and the government is silent about it, about 20,000 crores. So there is politics everywhere. But the fact of the matter is, this is not a political question, but if the government is adamant, is not willing to listen to the voices of approximately 85% of the population, look, then it can have a political momentum, a political traction, which can derail this fictitious idea of that BJP is invincible, BJP is unbeatable. All these fictitious ideas shall be fought on the streets.
Mr. Jha, appreciate you joining us. Thank you there. I want to take these questions now to Rahul Srivastav, National Affairs Editor of India Today, as well as Sanjay Kumar, Co-Director, Lok Niti CSDS, and Sophologist. Rahul Srivastav, what do you make? Do you see the opposition coming together? Do you see the caste census being a rallying point in the days to come as we lead up to 2024?
Preeti, yes, to a lot of these questions. The opposition is searching for a common narrative, not just a narrative, but a common narrative. And on this, it feels that it has a political reason that BJP seems to have walked away with a certain amount of what I call the BJP's demographic shift as far as its vote base is concerned. So yes, it has got something a template can talk about. Can it hurt the BJP? Definitely, it can hurt the BJP. What the BJP over the last few years has done is the bringing together or coming together of Mandal and Kamandal, caste politics and communal and religion politics of religion, and that's where it is very. You see, caste censuses were ordered in 2011. The data was around. It has not been published. I'm neither a sociologist like Manoj Jha or somebody as learned as Sanjay ji, but the fact remains that for political parties, I think this time around compared to Mandal 1990, ground realities have changed. Why I say that ground realities have changed? Because at that time, OBCs backwards could be looked at as monoliths, as a single vote entity. Over the last 30 years, there has been a difference now. The OBCs have seen fragmentation and evolution, that those who were the first beneficiaries became the creamy layer, as you said, And
Right.
there was a segment of the OBCs and BCs, backward caste, who were unhappy with them and they walked away. A social census does not bring out only a caste census, it brings out a socio-economic caste census. So that data will also show that the Yadavs may be 19% in UP, but they may be
Right.
actually grabbing something close to 35% jobs. That is not going to be very pleasing for these leaders. Also, not for the Congress, because I will say that because there are in all the states, there are already existing parties which are claimant to these OBC votes. So where does the Congress benefit? But yes, it may be that in the short term, it may endear the Congress as far as opposition parties are concerned.
Sanjay, the fact is, Rahul, you made the point of Mandal, Kamandal, but yes, Kamandal, other than also social justice, the back point of it all, and I hope I have the time and we can talk about it, that the real aim of it all was VP Singh getting a one-up politically on Devila. And Sanjay Kumar, I want to bring you in, where the figures are concerned. From where we stand when we look at caste, and we look at all the government policies, we look at reservation to the fact of even ticket distribution politically. You're looking in terms of reference to numbers which are 90-year-old. So yes, in a utopian society, one would say you want to go casteless, but where you're making these policies, you're referring to 90-year-old data.
Yes, I think if you look at the stand of the central government, when it comes to remember when the last cabinet expansion was done, there was a lot of noise created by the central government that this is the ministry which has X percentage of people from other backward caste. But when it comes to doing a census based on caste, just to get a sense of what is the proportion of different castes, BJP or the central government is on the back foot. They don't want to get into that because of, and they have several explanations to offer. See, any policy, whether it is with regard to any community, whether this is with regard to any issues, we talk about drinking water facility, electrification of the villages, etc. We can take any example. The policy is if the government want to make the policy, you need a baseline. And what is that baseline? You need an information about the existing information. What is the existing situation? And then you formulate policies with regard to that. So I think a caste census is needed because it is not only a caste census, it will also help the government in getting information about the socio-economic status. Once you get a sense of the socio-economic status along with the numbers of people belonging to different castes, it's not only about reservation. We think that it is aimed only to provide reservation. There could be several other policies which government can initiate for the upliftment of a particular caste if there is a need. How do the government figure out whether there is a need or not? It can be done only if some exercise is done, and this is the census is the exercise, because I think some time back somebody said census is not the only way to get information about socio-economic status. Then what is the other way around? If there is another method of getting sense of socio-economic status of any people belonging to any caste community, then that should be initiated, because that's the baseline.
Sanjay Kumar, how much will psephology change if there's a caste census?
Sorry,
how much will it impact psephology if there is a caste census today in the country?
No, I don't think there is any relationship between that, because when we talk about psephology, it's about looking at voting patterns, people's voting behavior. We already, this analysis is already being done from decades, looking at what proportion of voters belonging to particular caste are in a particular constituency. Look at how the ticket distribution is done. The ticket distribution is done, I'm not saying largely, but mainly on the basis of caste. Parties look at the winnability, which candidate can possibly win election, and what is one big criteria of deciding which candidate has a more winnable chances. It's about caste equation in that constituency. So it doesn't affect it is not going to affect how the psephology would be done in future if we get to know about, if there is a caste census and we get to know about caste data. Yes, there would be some change. Now there is a lot of speculation about numbers, whether Dalits are, whether Yadavs are 16% or 11%. whether Lingayat and Vokaliga are 16% or 20% or only 6%. What is the proportion of Jats in Western UP and what is the proportion of Jats in Haryana? So there is a lot of speculation around which we do the analysis.
And Sanjay Kumar,
If
and
there's
I'll
a
bring in
caste
Rahul
census,
Srivastava, where
we will
Jats are
have a-
concerned. Now the biggest speculation is how many Jats in Rajasthan. But very quickly, Rahul Srivastava, I'll bring you in. Why is the BJP government deterring to hold a caste census? Why is it in a catch-22?
Primarily because of this very reason, Preeti, that caste census will unleash energies which the BJP thinks it will not be able to harness. Right now, there is a very strong community angle to the BJP's politics. There is a more of a stronger Hindu monolith than a caste composition. And in that, the BJP feels that the focus will go on caste, not on religion. And that's what the BJP is wary of. Also, I think there is one misnomer. The data has not been published, but how do we know that the central government has not been using that data? That's one fact which I always want to say. And I also want to say that when Sanjay ji says, I think there will be energies released by a census, but they will not be the same as they happened in the time of Mandal. I think there will be much different forces. I think it will be time of the MBCs, that MBC versus OBC. There's Yadav versus the smaller OBC caste. Backward caste. I think that divide will get much more stronger because the Yadavs already have a leadership.
Right.
I think it is the MBCs which will be the next big story of a caste census if it is held and published.
All right, I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you there. We're going to keep a keen eye on all the developments that take place. Has the Congress and the opposition hit a raw nerve which they'd want to milk in days to come, asking for a caste census? Lots of fine print in this as well. And trust India Today to break it down in the days to come for you. A quick break. Up next is Rahul Kamal.
Justice, liberty, equality, the pillars that built India. A nation where everyone has dignity and opportunities to prosper. But today, over 75 years after independence, Dalits remain a community trapped for centuries by the caste system, languishing in a dismal state. Nearly 20% of India's population is Dalit. Dalits still live in abject poverty, excluded on the margins, facing atrocities, toxic untouchability, and no opportunities for economic upliftment. The father of India's constitution, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, fought all his life for the upliftment of Dalits. In the past, many state and central governments have made big promises, but it has been nothing more than lip service. Basic human rights have still not been delivered. Dalits remain downtrodden and discriminated against. This shocking reality is a national shame. Few have dared to break the cage of caste discrimination until now. Friend to the downtrodden, upholding human rights and dignity, championing Ambedkar's India, KCR is showing India and the world our revolution is sparked in Telangana through his path-breaking scheme, Telangana Dalit Bandhu. Approximately 17,50,000 Dalit families call Telangana home, and now they are calling Telangana the land of opportunity. Thanks to Dalit Bandhu, launched in 2021 by the TRS government, a world-first scheme which will give each Dalit family an astounding financial boost of 10 lakh rupees. There are many more schemes along with this which are under implementation all over the state. But Dalit Bandhu is a specially designed program for the upliftment of the Dalit community. It has an unprecedented objective to uplift 17,50,000 Dalit households with a one-time capital grant of 10 lakh rupees per household, 100% subsidy with zero repayment, delivered via direct-to-beneficiary transfer, with a dedicated Dalit Bandhu scheme help desk and monitoring committee at village, mandal, district and state level, and a 10% reservation for Dalits in profit-generating schemes, government contracts and licenses. In addition to this, Telangana has another visionary program for Dalit students, residential schools and colleges, and Ambedkar Overseas Vidya Nidhi, a 20 lakh rupees overseas scholarship, giving them the most powerful tool for success: education. Huzurabad, 2021. The Telangana Dalit Bandhu pilot was launched. Telangana's Dalit Bandhu is a path-breaking scheme that places absolute trust in the beneficiary. Each household has complete freedom and flexibility to decide its business and how to grow their dreams.
నేను వచ్చేసి ఫార్మసీ చదివాను సార్. దాని తర్వాత యాజ్ ఏ ఫార్మసిస్ట్గా చాలా ప్లేస్లో చేశాను సార్. ఎప్పుడైతే మన తెలంగాణ గవర్నమెంట్ ఈ దళిత బంధు పెట్టిందో అప్పుడు ఇంకా నాకు ఎప్పటి నుంచో నా ఓన్గా బిజినెస్ పెట్టుకున్నామని నాకు అంతకుముందే ఉండేది సార్. మన టీఆర్ఎస్ గవర్నమెంట్ దళిత బంధు స్కీమ్ ఒకటి పెట్టి నా ఓన్గా నేను సెటిల్ కావడానికి ఒక ఆపర్చునిటీ క్రియేట్ చేసింది సార్.
Households were identified as beneficiaries and the direct benefit transfer of 10 lakh rupees was made. Each family unit was free to decide how they wished to invest this 100% subsidy. It could be a single or multiple businesses. Multiple beneficiaries could pool their resources to build a bigger business. It could be in any sector of their choice. The sky was the limit. In no time, the stories of transformation began rolling in. These are just a small fraction of the 40,000 success stories that Telangana has empowered through the Dalit Bandhu scheme. In just 1 year, it has smashed records for any Dalit upliftment scheme in the country. Till date, the Dalit Bandhu scheme has been implemented in all 119 assembly constituencies in Telangana. Beneficiaries have achieved prosperity for their families. They have also created opportunity for their community by providing employment and revenue. The resounding success of the Dalit Bandhu scheme has energized the TRS government to accelerate its efforts. From 40,000 beneficiaries with an outlay of 4,441.8 crore rupees, now Telangana government has raised the Dalit Bandhu budget to reach about 2 lakh beneficiaries with an outlay of 17,700 crore rupees, making this the world's largest direct benefit scheme.
దళిత బంధు వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఈ 10 లక్షలు అనేది మామూలుగా అందరికీ ఆపర్చునిటీ రాదు. ఇది పూర్తిగా గవర్నమెంట్ వాళ్ళు మాకు 10 లక్షలు ఇచ్చేసి మీ ఇష్టం ఉన్న వ్యాపారాన్ని పెట్టుకో అని చెప్పేసి అనడం వల్ల మాకు ఇంత ఆర్థిక పురోగతి కలిగింది. అదే కాకుండా మేము ఇంతకుముందు ఒక దగ్గర వర్కర్గా పనిచేసిన వాళ్ళం ఇప్పుడు ఓనర్గా ఉండగలుగుతున్నాం.
Never before has such a revolutionary scheme been designed to end caste discrimination, where Dalits receive 100% opportunity along with 100% dignity.
దళిత బంధు పథకం రాకముందు మేమైతే చాలా స్ట్రగుల్స్ ఫేస్ చేసాము. దళిత బంధు పథకం కింద మేము ఈ ఎంబ్రాయిడరీ మిషన్ ఎంచుకొని పెట్టుకున్నాము. నేర్చుకున్న వరకునే నేను ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేయాలనుకొని ఈ ఎంబ్రాయిడరీ స్టార్ట్ చేశాను సార్. ఇచ్చినందుకు చాలా చాలా ధన్యవాదాలు కేసీఆర్ గారికి, తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వానికి కూడా మేము ఎంతో రుణపడి ఉన్నాము.
ముగ్గురం కలిసి ఒక యూనిట్ పెట్టాము. అంటే 30 lakhs పెట్టి ఒక వెహికల్ను ఇప్పుడు అమెరికన్ టూరిస్ట్ షాప్ పెట్టాము. బాగానే నడుస్తుంది ఇప్పుడైతే. అంటే నేను జాబ్ చేసేవాడిని, ఇప్పుడు ఓనర్గా అంటే ఒక కంపెనీ ఓనర్గా ఇప్పుడు ఫీల్ అవుతున్నా. చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంది.
జీవనోపాధిగా మిషన్ కుట్టుకుంటూ బ్రతికేదాన్ని సార్. మాకు 3 పిల్లలు, వాళ్ళని చదివించుకుంటూ మేము బ్రతకాలంటే చాలా కష్టమైంది సార్. ఇప్పుడు దళిత బంధు ద్వారా కేసీఆర్ గారు ఆదుకున్నారు సార్. వాళ్ళు ఇద్దరం కలిసి పెట్టుకున్నాం సార్ మిషన్. కోయంబత్తూరు నుంచి వెళ్ళి తెప్పించుకున్నాం సార్ మిషన్ను. నాన్ ఓవెన్ బ్యాగ్స్ సార్. మాకు నెలకు 50,000 వరకు వస్తాయి సార్. 3 జీతాలు 50,000 వరకు వస్తాయి సార్.
For Telangana's leadership, it's not about breaking records, but about ensuring financial freedom for all. Each Dalit Bandhu grant of 10 lakh rupees has an inbuilt 10,000 rupees safety net, Dalita Rakshana Nidhi, to ensure that all Dalit families get financial assistance from the fund at times of distress. To further strengthen this, Telangana government contributes additional 10,000 rupees, which is over and above each grant. A great safety net that has no parallel anywhere in the world. For the KCR government, this is more than just a financial benefit. If any beneficiary of Dalit Bandhu meets with fatal disease or accident, the family should not go through additional depression and hard times. They should remain protected. That is the true purpose of the special safety net designed as Dalita Rakshana Nidhi.
కేసీఆర్ సార్ ఇంత పెద్ద స్కీమ్ తీసుకురావడం అనేది చాలా గొప్ప విషయం సార్. మాలాంటి వాళ్ళకి ఓన్గా ఒక కంపెనీ పెట్టి ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ కావాలనుకునే వాళ్ళ కోసం ఇది గోల్డెన్ ఆపర్చునిటీ.
అదే కాకుండా దళితులు అంటే సమాజంలో అందరికీ చిన్న చూపుగానే ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఇది ఇవ్వడం వల్ల
సారు దళిత బంధు ఇచ్చి మమ్మల్ని ఎంతో ఆదుకున్నారు సారు. మాకు మరో అంబేద్కర్ గారు సారు మాకైతే మాటల్లో చెప్పలేము. ఆయనకు మాకు ఎంతో బతుకునిచ్చిండ్రు అసలు.
Under the fearless leadership of KCR, Dalits finally have a government that protects and defends them. Telangana inspires them to overcome oppression and empowers them to be bold so that each Dalit can move up in the world with head held high, creating their own success story, making Telangana shine and, in turn, India.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by
Macho Hind, Bade Aaram Se.
the all-new Hyundai Verna, futuristic, ferocious. XP100, India's first 100-octane premium petrol.
Good evening and welcome. It's the biggest exclusive in the world of technology. Apple CEO Tim Cook speaking exclusively to India Today and Business Today television, and that mega exclusive is my top focus on the news track.
India's big bite into Apple.
India is at a tipping point, and it feels so great to be here. You can just feel the vibrancy, the dynamism, the feeling that anything here is possible.
Apple boss in the house. Tim cooks up a Bollywood storm. Vada pav, business and big buzz. Namaste Apple. Big focus on Newstrack.
Here's a look at the headlines I'm tracking tonight. NCP's Ajit Pawar refutes reports of him jumping ship to the BJP, says he will always be with the NCP. Supreme Court questions parole to Bilkis Banu's rapist, says Gujarat government should give reasons for the convict's release. Next hearing on the 2nd of May. Chilling threat tapes of Atiq and son Asad accessed, gangster heard extorting money for Meshpal's murder. It's the biggest tech exclusive this year. Apple CEO Tim Cook speaks exclusively to Business Today television after flagship store launch in Mumbai, says excited about Apple's India journey. India's apex court hears arguments on legalizing same-sex marriage. This a day after the centre called it an urban elitist concept. Apple chief executive Tim Cook opened the doors to his company's first flagship store in Mumbai, marking the start of a new innings for the company in India. As per reports, more than 5,000 hardcore Apple enthusiasts were at hand to cheer the opening of the store at the Bandra Kurla complex, leaving behind some incredible moments. This also signifies Apple upping its interest in the India market and hoping to use the Indian region as a manufacturing hub in the months to come.
Long queues of Apple enthusiasts patiently waiting for hours. Staff in green cheering Apple's first Indian store before it opened for customers. CEO Tim Cook interacting with Apple employees before he pushed open the doors to the flagship BKC store in Mumbai, marking a special moment for Apple in India. Customers who'd been waiting in lines for hours for this moment trickled in, welcomed to the store by Tim Cook himself, taking selfies with him. Exchanging greetings with the Apple CEO himself. There were special moments as well, with an Apple fan bringing a Macintosh SE to the store, proudly displaying it to Tim Cook. A young girl with a drawing she had specially made for him. The mood inside the store was electric. A fact that even Tim Cook acknowledged in a tweet after some of the excitement had died down.
Scenes of jubilation here from the Apple Store in BKC. Yesterday we gave you an exclusive first look here on Tech Today, on Business Today. But today the doors have been opened by none other than Tim Cook. And we were the first people to enter, along with, of course, the most important person in tech, which is the consumer. So now that the customers are here, and everyone's been asking what's so special, kya farak hai Apple Store mein compared to an authorized premium reseller, let's ask a few customers, are they truly excited? But just to give you some perspective, look outside at the lines. It's reminiscent, oddly reminiscent of India's Starbucks moment, where we had Starbucks opening in Mumbai, and yet again, Amchi Mumbai has that moment here at the Apple Store in BKC.
The rush, the energy inside the store was incredible. The Apple Store, India's first, reportedly has more than 100 expertly trained professionals to handle queries and sales, but even they were overwhelmed with the massive day one response.
We've been dying to come here, and we can't believe that we're here. I thought the first Apple Store I'll visit will be the one in the US, but I was so happy. We had driven, we woke up at 3:30, we got ready, we drove from Pune, that's nearby, and these are my parents.
We are Apple crazy family. You get to put your hands on to each and every Apple model. And all the watch bands are here, all the speakers are here, all the AirPods are here, all the Macs are here, all the iPads are here, all the iPhones are here, and you've got like these beautiful Apple people around.
The next stop for Apple fans is the company's second store in Saket, New Delhi, which is set for a similar high-energy opening on Thursday. This will be followed by more such stores in the next few months, ensuring a pan-India presence for a company which has depended on franchises till now. Apple's true journey in India has just begun. With Ayush Elavadi in Mumbai, Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
My colleague and the editor of Tech Today, Ayush Elavadi, spoke exclusively to Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook. The man of the moment discussed his plans for India and why the country is so special for him. This is a Big India Today exclusive.
Ladies and gentlemen, on Tech Today, we have a very special guest. In fact, one of our most special guests yet on the show. I'm joined by none other than Tim Cook. Tim, what a pleasure to meet you.
What a pleasure to be here. And hello, everyone.
Hello. Well, we got a namaste moment when you did open the first Apple store over here.
Yes.
That energy, I can imagine, was palpable, Tim. An Apple store opening here, so much manufacturing happening in India. Is it safe to assume that the focus is now on India? It's India's moment when it comes to Apple.
Oh, India is at a tipping point, and it feels so great to be here. You can just feel the vibrancy, the dynamism, the feeling that anything here is possible, and it's so great to be a part of it. I feel so great to be back.
You know, it's an interesting market. It's the youngest population in the world. We're seeing so many people here, design school, aspirational, tech savvy. When you're looking at the Indian market, does it require a unique approach? What's the strategy like for India?
Every place is unique. You know, India has its own journey and its own culture, and so you really have to understand the local culture, I think, to do well in a country. And so we're trying to bring our best to India. We brought the online store a few years ago. We brought now a retail store. We'll expand the retail presence on Thursday with a store in Delhi. We have manufacturing here. We have an extraordinary developer community here. We have musicians. It's great to interface with the artists and the creators here. So there's a huge Apple community in India.
And we're pleased that you're delighted to be here. But you said before that you are excited about India. You are bullish about India.
Yes.
What are the top 3 things that really excite you about India?
I'm excited about the culture. I'm excited about the people. I'm excited about this feeling here that is hard to describe, but you know it when you feel it. The vibrancy of it all, the energy, the enthusiasm. I'm excited about all of those things.
Tim, the energy when you were here the last time around, is there genuinely an increase in the energy levels?
I think there is. I think there is. Maybe that was, maybe COVID shook us all. I'm not sure. But it feels like there's even more energy now than there was before.
And very quickly, I would love to get your views, Tim, on the buzzword nowadays, which is artificial intelligence. Are you bullish on artificial intelligence? What is your take on AI in 2023?
I'm very bullish on AI. And in fact, it's at the root of so many of our products today. You know, like the Apple Watch. If you run an ECG, you're using artificial intelligence, machine learning. If you fall and the watch calls your contact, fall detection, it's using AI. And so we use AI across all of our products, and I think it is a profound technology.
All right, very quickly to wrap up, we're going to do a rapid fire with just one answer with you.
Okay.
And
is this going to be hard?
I hope so. We hope to put you on the spot. That's what we do on Tech Today. But we're going to start off with, you can give me a one-word answer. I know the whole world knows what you ate for dinner last night. It happened to be Mumbai's famous vada pav. So vada pav or New York hot dogs?
Oh, no comparison. No comparison. I'm for India all the way.
Vada pav for Tim. That's an exclusive. The one Apple device from the ecosystem that you don't leave home without. Or you couldn't leave home without.
That's like asking you your favorite child or your favorite parent. When I travel, I've got my phone in my pocket, I've got my watch on my wrist, I have an iPad and a Mac in my bag, and so I love them all.
He's got the entire ecosystem like a lot of us. Bollywood or Hollywood?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love both. Last night I met a lot of Bollywood people, so I'm going to say Bollywood.
There you go. Tim's got all the questions spot on. The last one, when will we see you in India next? Because it's been a long, arduous wait for you to come back.
It's been too long. Soon.
There you go. There you go, Tim. What an absolute pleasure to have you with us in India on Tech Today, and we wish you the best.
Great seeing you, great seeing all of you.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
it's great.
Should we get one nice photo, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, he's got the photo and the interview, and he's joining us live now on the news track. Ayush Ailavadi, congratulations for that big scoop. Give our viewers a sense of the logic and the rationale behind these photo opportunities. The Vada Pav, Madhuri Dixit, Neha Tupia, Shilpa Shetty, all well and good, but Apple is actually thinking about using India as a manufacturing base, and Apple's a bellwether, so if Apple comes, a lot of other tech companies could come as well. What sense did you pick up in your interaction with Apple executives about just how important India will be in the years to come for Apple as a manufacturing center?
Absolutely, Chief. If you just look at the Indian market and you look at any of these tech companies, you'll see that the next frontier has to be India. Even if you're talking about OTT, a lot of the top companies like Netflix have really saturated their subscriber growth, and India seems to be a key market for them. They're all trying to figure out how to crack India, but I think Apple has the secret sauce because the focus clearly has shifted to India. The larger conversation seems to be that this is Apple's China plus one strategy. They don't want to depend on China. Clearly, for the last few years, we've seen how that supply chain has been disrupted. So they want to move the entire supply chain to alternative locations, and India offers that sort of attractive base for the company. So we can talk about from inception, production happening in India, a lot more components being manufactured in India, and then eventually right till the flagship retail experience which happened at Apple BKC earlier today and soon to be in New Delhi. The entire focus has clearly shifted to India for now.
Thanks for that, and congratulations once again, Ayush. Good scoop there. Business Today Television's tech editor Ayush Ailavadi spoke to excited fans who'd queued up for the store's launch in Mumbai. Here's the buzz from the ground.
Here from the Apple Store in BKC. Yesterday we gave you an exclusive first look here on Tech Today, on Business Today. But today the doors have been opened by none other than Tim Cook. And we were the first people to enter, along with, of course, the most important person in tech, which is the consumer. So now that the customers are here and everyone's been asking what's so special, kya farak hai Apple Store mein compared to an authorized premium reseller, let's ask a few customers, are they truly excited? But just to give you some perspective, look outside at the lines. It's reminiscent, oddly reminiscent of India's Starbucks moment, where we had Starbucks opening in Mumbai, and yet again, Amchi Mumbai has that moment here at the Apple Store in BKC. Let's speak to a few customers and find out exactly how they feel about this particular store opening. Hi.
Hi.
Are you a customer here today at the Apple Store?
Yeah, I have a MacBook.
I see the white 32D smile out there. What excites you so much, my friend, about this new store opening?
I mean, firstly, it's an international experience. The store is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And besides the fact you get to put your hands on to each and every Apple model.
First question, why are you so excited about this Apple Store opening? Yes, sub line, why is it here?
I think it's the first store of Apple in India, and that's what makes it special.
I don't know, are you more excited or is he more excited about this store opening?
I think he was more excited.
Yeah. What really excites you about an Apple Store, a flagship store opening here in Mumbai?
Well, for me, it's more about the design language, because I'm a design student.
Okay.
So the design speaks to me, like how human it is or how it makes you feel here.
What's different in really experiencing the products here as opposed to your previous Apple experience in India?
I mean, the previous Apple experiences, you go to a website, you don't really get the feel until you have your hands on. Once you try the smooth glide on an iPad, like when you start drawing on that.
Yeah.
It just
This one, yeah?
it just feels like a magic.
All the speakers are here, all the AirPods are here, all the Macs are here, all the iPads are here, all the iPhones are here, and you've got like these beautiful Apple people around who are just there to answer every question, and I have so many of them.
Hi! Are you guys here to shop for Apple products?
Absolutely. We've been dying to come here.
If you had to get one Apple product, which product would it be?
I would pick the M2 MacBook Air.
Not the MacBook Pro.
No, I'm a student. I need a MacBook Air. I only need a
And
Air.
that's the job?
Yeah.
It looks like Diwali, Christmas, everything's come early because everyone has a tech wish list. And it's an absolute joyous moment to be, enjoying what's happening here at the Apple Store. It's just fascinating stuff. And we hope to get you more scenes like this on Tech Today, on Business Today, and on India Today.
Apple's big bet on India is a well-thought-out, long-term strategic decision. The tech giant has bet on India on the back of a very restive geopolitical situation. So what are the key reasons for Apple wanting to up its interest in the Indian market? Take a look at this report.
Apple has finally said namaste to India, opening the first of its iconic stores in Mumbai. The BKC store will soon be followed by another Apple store in Delhi. This is the first time Apple will be opening up a retail store in the country. And Apple fans are excited to the core. But does Apple have enough fans or users to open up chain of stores in India and then sustain them? In 2022, Android held an over of 95% operating system market share in India, leaving only about over 4% share for Apple's iOS. So despite a low market share, what really is Apple's motivation to expand operations in India? Apple's India expansion is a part of its China Plus One strategy. For decades, China has been Apple's primary playground for assembling and exporting. But it all came to a grinding halt last year when the iPhone factories were shut for the longest time due to China's zero-COVID policy. This shutdown impacted Apple more than it had anticipated, and it led to waiting times of months for its top models in the peak festive season. And so came the Make in India push, helping Apple diversify its supply chain out of China and expanding in India. The production-linked schemes have already aided Apple's contractors Foxconn, Wistron and Pegatron.
This seems like a strong localization push. Apple says that this, of course, is one of the most sustainable stores in the world, with a top-level certification as well. A huge zero fossil fuel push happening here at this particular Apple store. But that's not all. When you talk about Apple's strategy in India, it seems like the focus and the shift away from China means that India is top focus now for Apple.
Well, as per reports, these contractors have exported over 47,500 crore rupees of iPhones in 2022-2023. Well, that's more than half of India's total phone shipments. The company also was the first to export over $1 billion of iPhones in the month of December. Not just that, the Apple contractors have created more than 62,000 direct jobs in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Apple CEO Tim Cook, who personally inaugurated the Apple store in Mumbai, issued a statement ahead of his visit, praising Indian culture and expressing his excitement regarding the stores. Bureau Report, India Today.
Tim Cook will be meeting the Minister of State for Information Technology, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, tomorrow. My colleague Shiv Arur spoke to the minister on the significance of Apple's India focus.
And with the big spotlight on Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple and the big tech company's big India plans on the back of the first store opening in the country, I'm joined now by Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. He's Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology and one of the few government leaders that Tim Cook will be meeting on other than the Prime Minister himself. Minister Chandrasekhar, a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time here on India Today. My first question to you, sir, is Tim Cook. You know, lots of media hoopla, very, very understandable because, you know, Apple is a company that commands a huge cult following all over the world. Many people have been waiting for this store for a very long time. You're going to be meeting Tim Cook tomorrow. Give us a little insight into what that meeting is going to be about.
No, I obviously, look, Tim Cook's arrival here and visit to India is an important thing at many levels, including the fact that one of the world's largest corporation, the CEO of one of the largest corporations of the world, is visiting India, not just to open a store, but to explore the expansion of the Apple India partnership. And as you know, Shiv, the Apple, along with Samsung, the two real global brands that have made India its home over the last few years, are not just making India its home, but making India a very significant part of their these changing global value chains or supply chains, which are going through a sort of a redrawing post-COVID. And India, which is just 9 years ago, which was an insignificant player in electronics manufacturing, is now becoming a leading source for Apple made in India manufactured Apple products for export to the world, to consumers all around the world. So I am hopeful that Mr. Cook's visit to India will further strengthen, further expand the Apple presence in India, in manufacturing, in design and engineering, and the whole ecosystem that the Apple brand represents. It is a significant opportunity for India and Indian startups and Indian manufacturing in particular. And I'm hopeful that this visit will give him the confidence to make India really a strong partner for Apple's global ambitions and global value chains.
Should we be expecting anything specific, from meetings with government tomorrow? Because we do know that Apple wants to do a whole lot more. What is the government expecting the next big step by Apple to be?
No, I don't think we will look at the Apple-India relationships as some sort of a digital big aha moment or a wow moment, Shiv. I think this is a relationship that has significantly expanded over the last few years. The numbers are, the Apple exports from India are doubling every year. And that the Prime Minister has set a target of $300 billion of electronics manufacturing by 2026-27, of which $120 billion will be exports. And this year alone, we will cross $10 billion of exports of smartphones as a category alone. And so therefore, I think we are well poised to look at this opportunity that is in front of India and Indian enterprises and Indian states of really becoming embedded into Apple's global supply chains in a very significant manner. And I am, assuming and hoping, and of course it is also as a safe assumption that these visits go a long way to showing Apple's leadership.
Absolutely.
The big difference and the big progress India has made in the last 4 or 5 years, because there was always this perception about India 10 years ago about being a difficult country to invest in and do business in. And after Prime Minister has made the focus on ease of doing business, the biggest investors and the largest enterprises around the world are making a beeline for India, making investments and manufacturing from India. And that in turn for India represents jobs, opportunities, growth, all of that.
I wanted to ask you specifically about that, Minister, because the very compelling images coming out, from Mumbai of that first store opening are also a reminder that about a decade ago, Apple wasn't really looking at India. I think there was this famous quote about India not being considered a strategic market. But all of that has dramatically changed in the last 7-8 years. How did that happen?
I use this example whenever people ask me about how much has India changed. I use a simple example of the smartphone category. In 2014, Shiv, about 82-83% of all mobile phones consumed in India were imported, and we were exporting zero. We are in 2022-2023, almost 100% of the mobile phones consumed in India are assembled in India. Or manufactured in India, and we are becoming a significant exporter of the same category. As a matter of fact, next year, mobile phone exports will be crossing textile exports and will be amongst the top 8 or 9 exports from India.
Amazing.
So I think that the travel of India, the travel of the Indian manufacturing sector over the last 8-9 years has been very, very significant. And the fact that most of Apple's ecosystem of manufacturers, the Wistrons, the Pegatrons, the Foxcons, all have set up large plants in India, have provided employment, investment and employment for lakhs of Indians, is a signal to Apple that India is not just ready to play in the big league, but in the big Apple league. And Apple for India represents manufacturing, It represents app innovation. It represents the whole hardware space as well. So Apple represents for India, and India represents for Apple, I believe, a very significant win-win opportunity for the India-Apple partnership.
Very true, Minister. And I wanted to, ask you specifically about the whole, all the comparisons are frequently made with China. When it comes to Apple's manufacturing, at this time, there is no comparison. A vastly more, measure of manufacturing is taking place in China. But there has been a visible movement of some of that work towards India. Do you see more of that happening in the years ahead?
Oh, absolutely. I think, notwithstanding China's performance over the last 3 decades, and there is certainly an awakening up of the world. I'm not talking in particular about Apple, but to the world of manufacturing in general.
Yes.
That this concentration in one geography was never a great idea. It ended up like that for issues of costs and global trade and all of that. But I think the world has woken up to the need to have much more diversified, much more trusted global supply chains. And that is an opportunity for which India is very well prepared. Over the last 6-7 years, the confidence and the capability in manufacturing, many states also stepping up in partnership with the government of India and creating ecosystems that are very, very amenable and friendly for manufacturing investment, have all signaled to the Apples and the Samsungs and indeed all manufacturing companies that India is a very viable, very friendly, easy place to invest in, manufacture and export to the world. So I think that story is increasingly getting a lot of traction. And I'm not saying India does not have competition. Vietnam is a competitor. Other countries are competitors.
Yes.
But certainly we are we're all hands on deck, and we want to be a major player. And as the Prime Minister has laid the target for us of 300 billion by 26-27, we are certainly working very hard to ensure that we meet those targets.
And this does send out a very big message, does it not, Minister? That, Apple, after all these years, many hurdles crossed, has finally put its foot in the door, has committed, a lot of resources in India. This sends out a message to industry, and this could have a spillover effect with more, big tech and more manufacturers making their way into India.
Oh, absolutely. In the world of technology, Shiv, there's absolutely no doubt, even amongst the volatility that we see amongst the big tech companies of the world, that Apple is really, in a sense, the pole star. It is a company that is setting standards in many, many areas, in privacy, in terms of innovation, in terms of performance, in terms of designing devices for the next generation.
Absolutely.
The brand itself. So I think in a lot of ways, it does represent one of the leading brands in the tech space. It is certainly one of the harbingers of the future of technology, if you want to call it that. I may be getting a little bit flowery with my prose to describe Apple, but it is certainly, without any doubt, one of the leading tech beacons. So I think the fact that they choose to partner with India, and that India can partner with them, and India offers a market and consumers and innovators to them, is, in my opinion, good for the world, good for India certainly, and good for Apple.
One final question, Minister. You've literally seen this industry inside out. As an entrepreneur, as a businessman, and now as minister. So you've had an unusually wide-ranging perspective of this sector. In your view, and that's my final question, do you have a gut feeling that we are on the threshold of something really big here?
Oh, absolutely, Shiv. We have all, as Indians, gone through those days when Nokia, with the large plant in Chennai, had to shut shop and run away from the country. And it sent such a signal to the rest of the world about the difficulties of doing business in India. This is just 8, 9, 10 years ago, just a decade ago. And now to come full circle, to be at a situation and to be so honored and privileged to be participating in the fact that these global brands are looking at India, making India its home, making these large investments, creating products for the world's consumers from India, giving lakhs of Indians an opportunity to work and creating jobs here. I think this is really unprecedented in so many ways for me personally, and I think anybody who's been a spectator or a participant in this electronics industry. So it is without overstating it. Certainly, we are living in extremely interesting times, and the future bodes very well for. I mean, the future of electronics is, in my opinion, is very bright indeed for India.
Well, we certainly look forward to all the exciting things in this sector that lie ahead. Minister Chandrasekhar, thanks very much for being with us. Have a great meeting with Tim Cook tomorrow, and we'll connect with you once again. Thanks so much for being with us here on India Today.
Thank you, Chef.
Coming up on the other side of a quick break, historic Supreme Court hearing on legalizing same-sex marriages in India begins. Details on the other side.
As State of War Karnataka kicks off, Karnataka's rulers and challengers, Karnataka's superstars and dreamers, Karnataka's very body and soul, come together on Karnataka's premier stage. Every voice, every issue, every debate. This is what Karnataka wants. India Today Karnataka Roundtable, 22nd April, Bengaluru.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
Five years after India's apex court decriminalized homosexuality, a five-judge constitution bench is hearing a batch of petitions seeking legal recognition of same-sex marriages. The centre has already said that homosexual marriages are just an urban elitist concept. LGBTQ members say it's time that they are fully assimilated into society with all the legal rights which are accorded to regular couples.
My Lord, the Solicitor General is aware of all the persons that we are talking of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights by their very nature are a limitation on the legislative power of the state. Your Lordship need not defer to Parliament.
Not for a second saying
if it is a fundamental right, my Lord,
there.
and if it
Who
is
should protect the fundamental
if it is
rights?
a
Whether by
status,
parliamentary law.
All right, what
Live streamed.
Two individuals whom bet were a bond of faith.
A five-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court in sitting.
They want to, my Lord, reach the status of a married couple, like the other person, and have a family. They cherish the same, my Lord, what is cherished by the others. They want to lead a dignified life, what the others also lead.
A historic case under consideration.
Look at them.
5 years after the top court decriminalized homosexuality in 2018 by scrapping a colonial-era ban on gay sex.
No, this is not an...
Final arguments underway now on petitions seeking to legalize same-sex marriage.
There is no absolute concept of a man or an absolute concept of a woman at all. That's not argument in a broader.
But biological man, my lord, means man only. It means, my lord, biological man. It's not
man
a
is not a definition of what your genitals are. It's far more complex.
The bench headed by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud hears them out. The centre has opposed the pleas and raised objections to the hearing itself, insisting Parliament is the only forum to decide on the creation of a new social relationship.
The question is not right of equality, right of dignity, or right of privacy of persons who belong to LGBTQ community. That is first. The question is right of conferment of a socio-legal status and whether that can be done by judicial adjudication.
The court says it is well within its right to consider the matter. On behalf of petitioners, senior advocate Mukul Rohtgi argued for equality, dignity, liberty and fraternity as he read out the preamble of the Constitution.
I was amazed to hear the other side saying, my lord, that we are not equal. I heard this submission, that we are not equal to the brethren of the heterosexual group. It's an astounding statement coming